Okay, here we go. Oh, what is it? We're good? We're good. All right, great. Uh, Again, I'm talking to no one here, but for anyone tuning in later, welcome to the stream, which I seems to be on a bit of a schedule now, bi-weekly Fridays. I'm not sure when my next one's going to be. Might be next week. Might not be next week. Might be 2 weeks. We'll see. But today, I got a reasonably sized portion of stuff. I'm going to be covering an MBTA trip I did back in May. Oh, sorry, no, December of 2005. This was when I was after I'd graduated, but before my job had kicked in. I had a job lined up, but I hadn't started yet. So I was going all over the place to get on all these sort of, no responsibilities era rail fanning. So anyway, I've got all the references already picked up and ready to go, and so this sort of it doesn't quite start in Boston. So I have a couple, then I'm gonna sort of cut right to what I was doing in Boston, and then there'll be a bunch of stuff on the way back. So clearly here we have a Penn Station before they did that new overbuild. I'm not sure if this was. I might have taken the overnight train up, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if this is just run of the mill night or if this is something else. But now, all right. I also have most of these things from before. So anyway, so this is at the end of track 11 and 12, which is right underneath a tower. It's the very center of the center tracks. So you go to the end of it at night, and you can get some decent night shots. But like I said, they're doing a lot of Moynihan Station today. They're doing a lot of Moynihan Station construction, but still watch out that this is quite far away from where the trains actually stop. So you're liable to get swarmed or yelled at. I thought I had found a I thought I had found a little loophole on the overnight train. Like at 2 a.m., no one really came out, but that's another story. So here we go. The one thing is there's a giant pillar in the way, so you have to either do some sort of photo stitch or whatever else. But today the lighting I'm not sure what the lighting's like because they built a hotel over the open section. So I'm not sure if so there is more lighting, but I'm not sure because here we got all the nice sodium vapor down the tunnels. You got the sort of the scissors crossover, the double slip scissors crossover there. Actually, and technically there's 3 of them. And here we have the ladders. This is the NJT side here. But again, isn't the greatest camera setup I had there. Here it is. At least I have all the names from this last time. Yeah, I think I was balancing the camera on something, which is why I have this pillar where it is. So I wasn't expecting this. I didn't have a tripod or anything, and that is really setting up tripods tends to be very, very much frowned upon. So I was just putting it on whatever I could find at the time, and oops. I got a little bit of a resize there. Oops. Here we go. Oops, that's the wrong thing there. So yeah, like I said, today with cell phone cameras, actually, they generally won't get pissed off at you because everybody has one of those. But if you roll out with any other type of camera, even somewhat recently, I've been bitched at the platform ends at Penn Station, mainly because the workers don't like being caught sleeping or otherwise slacking off. And in a bit of current events, same thing that happened at Penn Station is going to happen to Boston Station, which you see here, South Station. So that all of this you see here is going to get covered over by development. Well, pending coronavirus doesn't make cities unlivable or make them undesirable. But the plan just went through is that they're going to cover all this over just like they did with the bus terminal with some sort of giant high rise. But we'll see again what happens with that. I would not be disappointed if that project fell through. So here we are. So the main I guess the main target of where I was going, or turned out to be Salem, the town despite the best efforts of 17th century Puritans, the town now has a witch-based economy. So this is where I have the overhead. Salem as a town. Come on. Oh, that crashed. Anyway, I can pull it up on this other one. Salem was built on some highlands north of Boston. You can see, Boston's like the whole coast is nothing but harbors. So it's sort of take your pick. There's some high ground right there. And so when the railroad arrived, actually, they built a tunnel underneath the high ground to avoid the downtown area. The old station was located south of town. In fact, that's the old station building there. And you can even see the old platforms with the yellow safety stripe and everything. That was in service until 1987. It comes in, it's trenched, underground tunnel. And here's the new station they built. This was built in 87. When I was there in 2005, it was just a flat. The car park went in 2012. Apparently, this is the most used non-downtown station on the MBTA commuter rail. And while it might not, you might wonder, well, wouldn't there be like Providence or something else? Apparently, this just Salem, the Salem station just gets a lot of walking traffic from the surround. It's a very walkable town. I guess you can thank the old layout for that. And again, I don't know if that statistic is still accurate, but just looking at some things here. That's where the Salem station is, and this is where you can see the this unfreeze. Okay, this unfroze. And I can get back to the thing here. Yep, they sold the air rights, and they parked the diesels at the far end anyway. But yeah, this is not gonna, we'll see what it does for ambiance. So the signal here, the whole tunnel that you saw there is in interlocking limits, and I have my thing here. The interlocking through downtown Salem is McNall, McNall, and it's basically it's a 2-track equilateral turnout to a single track through the tunnel, which is all in interlocking limits. Then there's what used to be a Y, but nothing's there anymore, and then it curves and goes back to 2 tracks. So it's just sort of a temporary single track thing. Where am I? There I am. Keep showing the wrong stuff there. There it is. So in the new, I was looking at the at a newer picture on that North American Interlocking's reference site, and this is what it looks like today. I mean, I'll have tower pictures, but the signal was changed to a safe train modular style. Also, what I like to call the smallest DIB sign, also the most useless DIB sign. This is one of the examples I have where you have a delay and block sign. Oh, I think that is so. Like the train is technically is this station because it's between in the old delay and block rule after the Silver Spring crash, you were required to put a delay and block sign at the end of any station that was between a distant signal and a home signal. But where you had a home signal right at the station, sometimes that sign would be placed directly on the home signal that sign is there to warn the train about. It's just how the regulation was worded. So you get delay and block signal warning signs on the home signal, which is funny. Here we have Salem Tower. It's a standard Boston and Maine tower. Brick. You see these all over. There's one in Air. There's one in East Greenfield. There's one in something like Johnsonville or something there in New York on the way to Mechanicsville. There's one on the there used to be one on the at Alewife on the T. This style with the copper roof and whatever for the Boston and Maine is just it's pretty popular with them. I'm pretty sure the tower was named Salem. A Waltham Tower has the same style. Lowell's a little newer. And again, here we have the lower part of the mast plus that the delay and block sign warning of the home signal that is attached to. Like I said. And here we have the tower with the new signal there. They're replacing. So I'm not sure if that was Safe Train. I think they're Safe Train like non-modular heads, but it's for some reason they went in with the modular ones. I don't know. There's no reason you can't LED the old ones. Hope everybody's doing all right, staying productive as best you can, stay safe, etc. So I actually went up the stairs there, and while it was towers, the door wasn't open. There was a hole in the sort of plywood door thing, and I was able to get this picture of the interior. It looks like there was a CTC cabinet there, and the old crew lockers. I don't know if this was used for a crew sign-in, but this is what's inside. And the upper head. I think that the ladder, the stairs sort of put you up to next to the signal head. So when I said that Salem has a witch-themed economy, that's if you go walking around downtown, it's sort of like Halloween stores, but the ones they just don't close for some reason. Oh, okay. That's not Salem. This is where is this? Oh, I think I might have given some erroneous information. I should have some line diagrams of the. I closed them all. I don't have the right diagram here. It looks like McNall has two signals there. It has one outer one and an inner one. But I have a line diagram here that should tell me, but it's not that one. So we're gonna find it. Just when you don't think you need the when you need something. Oh. Is it under like Boston or something? Oh, there. No. I'm probably not gonna find it. So that's not the right signal. That's gonna be the inner one. But in this older Amtrak era diagram, there's just one signal at the outer end of the tunnel. But here, it looks like they put another signal in. Right in there. Or maybe not. What's that switch then? There's not a switch there. Yeah, that looks like the old platform for sure. Yeah, that's the old platform for sure. So, anyway, yeah. Looks like they put a second signal in at some point. Maybe they re-signaled it. Google could... No, Google can't tell me that one probably, because... Well, maybe it could. They don't have catenary. Maybe that's why they that signal mast was new. Maybe they redid the interlocking to some degree. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. There's the old base. They did pop the signal. So the whole currently it's all within within interlocking limits. But it used to be they had another Ow! I know why they would have done it, because of PTC. You have issues with access. The stop zone. It doesn't know. It can't tell where the stop signal is. So if you have a stop signal immediately adjacent to a platform, then an absolute signal, the train's going to get stopped like 2 car lengths down the platform. And they used to be able to do creep ups, but now they can't because of something that happened on the MBTA. So when they had to put the access in ACSES PTC system, they just wait, never mind. I got it all wrong. They kept the one at the far end and they got rid of this one. I don't know what they're doing here. So forget what I just said there. That was I mixed it up. They popped the inner one. So this is now gone. Go back and edit that. I went on a bad tangent there. See, I would have thought that they, yeah. See, like why would you get rid of the signal that, shorten the interlocking limits? Everybody's happy. Okay. Now, somewhere, like I said, my friend made a line diagram of the MBTA system based on cab rides, but I don't know. The file's not named very well. It might be, and I didn't sort. All these files here aren't exactly sorted, just the older ones. And it usually takes me a little bit of hunting to find it, but he has all the signals on it. Now that's the Springfield line track chart. I think I have it in here and I just didn't move it. Oh, here it is. Great. All right, here we go. Lynn, Salem. Yeah, there we go. This is how it used to be, and they just popped that middle one. I guess it was just the more PTC stuff, the less you need. So McNall has two southbound things there. All right, there you go. Sorry about that. One neat thing about the Salem, so it goes down to one track for the tunnel. Then at the next interlocking northerly point, it went back to two tracks. But the ones for about 3 miles, it goes back to Rule 251 because this drawbridge there is still a manned interlocking station. So between there and Beverly Junction, it was Rule 251 for like 1 mile because it was just they didn't want to re-signal the bridge. So sorry about the having to dig out the additional maps there. All right, moving along. Here we have the relay hut for the McNall, which I think is still there. I don't think it's been changed. You can see the old stone platform edge. That I think this station was in from the 1950s to the 1980s. Oh, it's named for someone. I wonder if I can zoom in and see who it is named for. Someone named William A. McNall. I could probably Google that. Nah, it's not helping. Anywho, back to the stuff. There's a number of that going on. NS does a lot of naming interlockings after very, very senior like area superintendents and whatnot. Okay, what do we got on the live stream here? Anything? So yeah, we were at one end. I think we took the MBTA out there. That's why I got those first photos at the station. Then we walked through downtown Salem, and then we got to the other end of the tunnel. So that's why I went from one end of the station, one end of the tunnel to the other end of the tunnel. Here we have the equilateral turnout at McNall. Oh, good. Yeah, they are safe train. I forget what they. I think it's like CR2 or something, or CR10 or whatever it is. It's just their copy of the USNS product. Just made a little more cheaply. All right, moving ahead. I bought a little. I'm trying to think where that little statue I bought there is right now. Should be in my house somewhere, but I haven't seen it in a while. Huh. Gotta find that. So yeah, I bought a little dragon statue resin thing at the occult themed Mega Mart that they had downtown. And there's a lot of occult themed stores, but there's a big one. And you can get all your crystal healing supplies. Looks like I've lost my history again. Don't know how that keeps happening. Is the stream still working? Alright, looks like it is. Everybody still there? Looks like you are. Just straightening this guy up. Apparently, where the station used to be was an engine terminal, and like I said, the station was at the other end of the tunnel. So that's why there was this land here. At some point, the old railroad structures were cleared out. Don't mind leaving a little bit of blue tint in this winter photos, because winter just is naturally blue tint. It just has a natural blue tint to it, so it looks okay. I'm not completely well versed on Boston and Albany stuff. So the Salem is on the Newberry Rockport line, which used to be called the Boston and Maine Eastern Route Main Line. There's two Boston and Maine main lines: the Eastern Route Main Line and the Western Route Main Line. The Western Route Main Line is the one used by Downeaster today. Goes up either through Reading, or if you want to use the Wildcat branch, through the old Anderson RTC. And that zips up to Maine. The eastern route main line would go up through Salem, Newburyport, and that's where the MBTA line lands today, but there's still the remains of a drawbridge. And the right-of-way is largely intact, and that'll take you right up to Portsmouth. Once you're in Portsmouth, there's not really anywhere you can go. I don't think it kept going to Maine, so it was kind of just the main line to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So that's why it was sort of abandoned as redundant. Specifically when it hit New Hampshire, because that wasn't, the MBTA, it's not the MBTA's job to, the MBTA in the 60s when the Boston and Maine was going bankrupt, they bought all the track in mass. But not very, it wasn't their job to preserve those right-of-ways into New Hampshire. So if I zoom it way out here, so there's Salem, and the line will go up to this Newburyport. And if you look here on the satellite, go back to the satellite view. There's the old drawbridge. So the station is there-ish, somewhere in town, probably south of town. And then there's the old drawbridge and the rusty rails, and then it just let's see if I have this on this other zone. No, I didn't put it on here. The right of way continues on up towards Portsmouth. There might have been a way to get up to the western route, but Salem's pretty close to Boston. Again, that's why it's one of those things that's probably a day's ride from Boston. They love setting that stuff up. But that's why it's still popular with commuters, that it's not that far for as opposed to Newburyport. So here we have an outbound coming through the tunnel. I think I'm standing on the mini high. No, the mini high is on the other end. I'm standing somewhere. That's not having to be. No need to have to be sketchy for those photos there. At least not back then. Yeah, the platform goes right. Went right up to there, and there's the signal, and there's the tower. Nice Comet 2s here, this is the equivalent of I don't know if this is a Comet 2 or Comet 1 equivalent. You have to sort of go. I think this is well into I don't think they have any 1s, so it's either a 2. It's probably it's MBTA. I don't think got any of the center doors ones, so I'm not sure if they're all Comet 2s effectively. But I like those. That single level style there, just maximizes your internal number of seats. And here we have, Boston does suffer from a very, very Spartan style of station design and platforming and whatever. With just it just always strikes me as so, I don't know. I don't even want to say cheap, just windblown. There's just nothing there to keep that looks hospitable. The station's not there to have you linger. Oh, here we have a good picture. So this is an interesting thing. So the original, I was actually on the Wikipedia page for this. You can see here that this is where this was, the old station. And they built this part there. uh, in the 50s. There was like an overbuild. Then there was an original 1839 tunnel, and then they built this tunnel extension at the end to get more, grade crossing elimination, get more, not have a trench in the middle of the town. That's when they said where the old station used to be, or the old new station. You see, they kept moving it back. So here in this picture, you can see, oops, wrong thing. Here in this picture, you can just see where the 1830s tunnel takes effect after the 1950s, sort of like where the Y used to be, where they covered that over to get more space downtown. So this whole, everything here was a cut and cover. There's a picture here on Wikipedia. Of it being built. See, that's where there's a tower, and then that's sort of the new tunnel extension zone, and then it was in the old tunnel there. Okay, now we're skipping ahead a bit here, and let me just reset where things are. So this is I'm cutting ahead back to downtown Boston. This is on the that causeway next to the Science Museum. There should be a Science Center station. Oh, Science Park. So this is sort of that drawbridge. I'm not sure if it's a drawbridge anymore. I'm going to use Google. I'm going to use Google Earth or Street View to see what's there. Because I thought there was some rebuilding. So let's just see what's up. Whoa, they got like boat view. So yeah, there's the. Oh yes. Oh no, there it is. I think that tower would have controlled both draw spans, which may or may not still open. The interesting thing that I remember is I saw there was some pictures from that structure, and there's what looks like an old US&S style interlocking type machine thing in there. It only had like 2 or 4 levers, which I assume was for raising the bridges or locking them. But they were the typical US&S crank handles with the thing, and they're still up in there. I just got to find them. It might have been something to do with the Smithsonian or an Urbex thing. This is where I'm going to go to my my old stuff here. Try to figure out what I named those. Okay. Can I read into this? Yeah, I can't read that. What's the name of the... It's, Oh, it's just Charles River Dam Road. I guess that used to be a set of locks. Until they probably made a bigger one. So there you go. Sorry about that. What? Got some nice golden hour stuff going on here too. Okay, here we go. So probably it was the lock control structure until they built it on. So here we have Tower A. I think at the time it still had a bit of the... So this is... The Big Dig is just winding down. and you still had a whole bunch of temporary structures hanging around. They had like a Bailey bridge over the old Tower A there, the MBTA tower, or the Boston and Maine Tower A. Let's see what I can salvage out of this photo here. I think I can get a. No, wow, it's exactly what size it needs to be. And we got a Type 7 here crossing the higher Green Line drawbridge, which this is totally fixed. I can't even tell what that would have raised up. Uh, 36. Oh, what? Huh, I thought the Type 7s all start with 7. Finally got some good light for once. Alright, here we go. No, it's not XP. It's 7. It just I've gotten it to look as classic as I possibly can. I really hate how Windows is forcing that like mobile experience on desktop these days with 10. I'd love to be able to skin it with just like a basic frickin' UI here. Fun fact: the LRV designs, the Type 7s were a throwback to the PCCs. You can tell by that sort of like split window there, and the Type 8s were a throwback to the Boeing LRVs. Then the new Type 9s, which they have, I can't tell. I mean, in theory, they should be a throwback to the Type 7s, which are a throwback to the PCCs. But I think they sort of broke the trend. So here we just have the same dude, plus the Science Park station there. And here we have the Science Viaduct draw span on the west side. I was worried that there was going to be something happening to the line. I haven't been across this thing to Leechmere in forever, so I really don't know what's been going on with it. But I really need to get back there. This is right, as like I said, this is right at the tail of the Big Dig. So what you're seeing here is when they did the Big Dig, they had to build a temporary bridge from the yard. Hold on, got to switch to a different part of the city here. So there's South Station. There's Amtrak Tower 1 interlocking. So here's this bridge there that crosses the like something called like the South Channel or something, Bass River. And they put a temporary span in there to reconstruct this. So by 2005, as the big dig is sort of winding down, they were in the process of sort of undoing that temporary, finishing up the main span and then removing the temporary tracks. And here's the Southampton Street Yard. The yard facilities for South Station are pretty far away. They're not that far, I guess, compared to some of the other ones, but it does make it a little bit hard. They got to go on a little trek. It's not like, I guess it's about equivalent to Union Station, going all the way back to Ivy City. I don't know what I would have called that. But there's the I'm not. Yeah, we'll see. Hold on. Give me a second here. I forget if the NEC up here is east-west or north-south. I want to say north-south. But it's really east-west. I mean, in terms of direction. Oh. And you can try to see here, yeah. It's sort of hard to tell how stuff... This is the current configuration. But I think the old temporary bridge was over there. Now I want to go check to see if it's north-south or east-west. Oh, I already have it up. Here's the terminal. Just need to come on, tell me if it's north south. Dorchester branch will tell me. Oh, here we go. It might be east-west. Direction transfer to Boston is east. Stations in italics, blah, blah, blah. So it is east. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's Dorchester branch. And it is Providence to Boston is east. So it is east-west, not north-south. Thought it seemed like it'd be north, east-west. So here we just have a MBTA commuter train on the new bridge there. It's brand new. It's brand new. No idea what that's gonna be. Oh yeah, that's not a Comet. You can tell by the big windows. That's actually a Messerschmitt car or an MBB. It's like Messerschmitt something and something else. It's the corporate successor of the Messerschmitt from World War II. So I always love saying the MBTA, both in all their divisions, they were operating Messerschmitt cab cars on the commuter rail and Hawker and all this stuff on the red and the orange and blue line both had Hawker Siddeley equipment, which is the Hawker Hurricane. So you had the Battle of Britain going on in one system. Here we have Cove. Or, sorry, that's the Cove interlocking signals coming into Back Bay. Yeah, these are, yeah, I guess that works. Get some nice, easy, Cove's an easy place to get some approach slow and other interesting signal indications. I actually need that track diagram because I need to know what track that is. It's number 2 track. I think by this point I have much better pictures of this whole Back Bay Cove complex. Now we're coming out onto the Southwest Corridor. I had a wonderful opportunity when I was touring the Transportation Research Institute at MIT. They were hosting a group of students from Puerto Rico because they were building a metro in San Juan. And they did a whole tour of the Boston Southwest Corridor, which for those of you who don't know, they were going to be building a freeway either in place of or on top of the New Haven Railroad right-of-way. But after the Mass Pike went through and pissed all the residents off, local opposition got them to change it from a freeway to a transit corridor, and they grade separated it. The overbuilds all had parks. You had the orange line there. I think that's 1001 or 1031. It looks like 1031 there for the MBTA. So that was a very interesting tour. The shame is that they'd actually had intended. This was when they built it in whenever in the 80s. They put in supports for electrification, or the foundations. These big concrete blocks were for electrification. Well, when Amtrak contracted with Siemens to do the electrification, Siemens, this might have gone to court. Siemens padded the work by reducing the distance between catenary poles to basically an unnecessary amount, because they were getting paid by the, something like they're getting paid by the pole, so they just doubled the number of poles. And you can see how they could have just used the existing supports that were pre-planned, but because their compensation was tied to how much much stuff they were putting in, they just decided not to use them. So I think that they got, because it was federal money, that there was some there was a settlement there for them overbilling. But if you look at the amount of catenary poles on the whole New Haven to Boston electrification, it's obscene how many they put up. I don't know why, how the bidding worked or whatever. But there was something wrong with that contract that caused that to happen. Today, Uh, Part of it is that, from what I've heard, is that there's just not a lot of players in the sector. Usually it's all Parsons, Brinkerhoff, or, I guess in this case it was Siemens. I don't know who was in charge. Siemens supplied all the equipment. I thought it was Siemens, but it could have been someone else. And what they'll usually do is Parsons or whatever will know that they'll get like a design contract, and they know that if they design that, it'll be like they design this thing. They get a design contract. They do this design work, and then they're basically the only people. And then they'll go and they'll win the build contract. So they put things into design that make them, that gives them advantages in getting the build contract, but also makes the build contract more profitable for them. Denver apparently avoided this trap because they didn't get Parsons to do design work. They got some independent engineering firm that wasn't a captive rail industry one, and that's why the Denver system got built for so much cheaper than other engineering proposals. So here we have the old Back Bay platforms. Oh, sorry, Route 128. So again, with the electrification, when they put in the new high-level platforms with the Acela and all that stuff around 2000, the old platforms are just sort of abandoned in place. I think maybe I don't know, they just, it's one of those things they can keep them in service and then just do a cutover. It's Finny. Yeah, I never got to ride a Boeing LRV. I'm really angry at that. Now, I might have without knowing it. But I went out to Boston specifically to try to ride an LRV before they got out of service. And I went out on the C. I think they were only on the D or the C. I went out to Riverfront. I got some pictures of some, but I didn't get to ride one because it was like I'm there and the train, you have to wait, and there weren't a lot in service. And or it wasn't peak and they weren't running, and I'm just like I didn't have my schedules there were a lot tighter. I would go to these trips very infrequently, and then I would have not a lot of time. I was running around. I never got to ride a Boeing LRV. That up-down system in London in the UK is ridiculous, and you can see why everybody else is that why every other non-English, and when I say English, I mean like British is not all English. Why the Scots, Welsh, and everybody else hates it because everything's so London-centric. It's baked into the railroads. Yes, this is the old New Haven system. What the New Haven did between New York and Boston was not quite comparable because they use this weird flying beam system on most of it. For the PRR, it's about half. It's about twice as much as the PRR. When they were rebuilding the catenary on the NEC that they got that stimulus money for, again, whatever, that's a little bit. It wasn't as bad, but the distance still didn't match up with the PRR. So they had to put in a lot of new catenary supports as opposed to being able to just rehab the existing supports. I'm trying to finish this up here, so I won't take you so long. Here we have the Alstom GP40 MCs. These were a rebuild job. This is like one of the last. This was the last sort of hurrah of GP40 rebuilds. Well, not unless you count the MP32 PH-3Qs. I don't know what station this is. It's somewhere. But anyway, these apparently had a lot of problems, but they were software, and they actually fixed the software. So now, and they just got rebuilt again. So MBTA did dump a lot of its, when they got the HSP 46s in, it did dump a lot of its F40s, but it did keep these GP40 MCs, and they're still running. They just got a midlife extension. Although, I mean, they got rebuilt once, so this is like I don't know, it's like a rezombification. What am I looking at here? Oh, yeah. What I'm trying to figure out what I would have called that. I probably just didn't have a destination. I'm not going to destination it now. I don't really care. So these were done in the late 90s. These are still arguably new, but maybe not reliable at the time I got this picture. Here we have Canton Junction. Remember before I mentioned that PTC problem, even though that wasn't the issue, but I went on this PTC and station rant. Canton Junction has this issue. There's a signal right at the end of the platform. And previously, you could use the stop release after stopping to creep up on a signal. But what happened was at this very junction, right here at Canton Junction, not on this platform, but where that train is right there, train used the stop release to pull up to a signal and then proceeded to run past the stop signal, almost in the path of an Amtrak train. So that's why now you have to get dispatcher permission to use stop release, even you can't do the creep ups. Freight railroads generally have a creep mode, but Amtrak didn't do that. So and here we have the Canton Junction itself. Or Canton, the world famous Canton Viaduct. Probably should use my Wikipedia tab there, but Canton Viaduct, it doesn't look super impressive. But it's one of those things where it was built in 1834 to 1835. So this, which isn't that tall and isn't that long, it is still very impressive for something that was done in 1835 by hand and stone and no steel or whatever. It's still going today, supporting Amtrak at 110 to 125 miles an hour. Most people don't even notice it when you don't. There's not. Here we have what the construction was, which is pretty cool. Blah 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 blah. I'm just trying to read if there's a 71 spans. I'm just trying to find the length. Total length 615 feet on a curve. So it's not that long, but it's like the Thomas Viaduct. It's impressive. It's very impressive given its age. And unless you know what you're looking for, you're on it. You're over it in a second. But just keep it in mind next time you're on the NEC there. I'm going to use my historic file names for these just because it's not part of a survey or anything. Here we have Attleboro Tower. That was the Penn Central name. So I don't know what's dead naming a tower, the Penn Central one or using the original one. I use both here. So it's New Haven designation was SS 165. Penn Central name was Attleboro. For those of you who don't know, the New Haven signaling system is not milepost based. It is sequential, but it was based on the fact that the New Haven was a long time. New Haven Railroad, sort of like the British, was a heavy user of manual block. A little bit later than maybe it should have been. It was using manual block, like UK style manual block with ding 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 ding, like with block system for mainline operation, not instead of a track warrant type of manual block. It had its signaling stations were about a mile to two apart, like an automatic block, and they just counted up sequentially. But that's why the signaling stations, or the numbers, are kind of about the milepost, but not quite. So, and then only in the early 20th century did New Haven convert over to automatic block. All right, we're on the last stretch here. Sorry for any additional sort of keeping this going along here. What do you have for questions? Superior catenary system was definitely the PRR in terms of. So New Haven looked nicer, but the New Haven, you have to know that the New Haven did it in two segments. It did from Vernon or from Woodlawn Junction to Stamford was done in 1906. It was pioneering system. It was no one had done that sort of electrification before. So it had that triangular weird system. It had the way that the power was done was very strange and had to get swapped out. It was the first thing that it went in was just like direct feed from the there was no step up, step down. It was just direct feed from the generators. And then between New Haven and Stamford, they had this flying boom system. We would have the cross beams would support cables that then would support the catenary, would have the cross members that actually hung the catenary. So it's almost like thirds, like a triple on a piece of music, where you would have you'd have a big gantry. And then a third of it, it would have you would then have a quarter of a distance, or maybe a bit, and then you'd have a cross member, and then there'd be another half of a distance and another cross member, and then a quarter of a distance to the gantry, which didn't actually directly support the catenary, and then another quarter to the next cross member. No. Yeah, the New Haven was done. First section was 1906 with a triangular catenary. That's really only good for 60 miles an hour. That's why Metro North said they were ripping it out to raise the speed, but then they didn't raise the speed. Then they did the flying boom system, which was done between around 1918. At that point, the PR was doing its Paoli electrification, which wasn't using those flying booms, with the whole cable from back and forth. And after that, the New Haven was done. They probably went bankrupt again, and the PR just sort of built on what it did with it was dynamic tension, but it didn't use the flying booms. It just simplified it with either solid or cable cross spans. Both of them have held up structurally, but the PR one is just easier to modify and work with, and you get less you get less issue of the wire sort of sliding around. All right, here we are on the last bit and piece of stuff here. I guess I left early in the morning. I wasn't leaving. This wasn't a late train. This is a morning train. See, today I catch the late train because I got to get back to work. But back in 2005, I would just stay over wherever till the next morning and then have an extra travel day because, I wasn't doing anything better. So here we have 1066 at South Attleboro Station. Is that 1066? Yeah. Let me pull up an MBTA roster real quick. I probably shouldn't. I'm probably wasting more time. I'll just put an MBCR. That should get me there quickly. Here we go. Here's our fleet. 1066 would have been one of the F40s. Looks like it's been retired. It's just unrebuilt. So those are, well, it is so that has been rebuilt as an F40 PH3C. The 52 to 72. So all the ones they have from 52 to 75. Well, actually, I'm not sort of hard to tell here. It's all over the place. So the MCs are still in service. You got those bunches. What got retired? Purchased, rebuilt, retired equipment. Oh, the standard F40 PHs got retired, 1,000 to 1,017. Cool. All right, so those are the only ones that are gone. So all their Dash 2s, which is a pretty sizable fleet, and it's cool that it's getting rebuilt too. Which looks like it's something on the order of 1025 to 1070. So they got about 50 of these. All right, moving on. This is, I always keep, this is Boston Switch, which makes obvious. And I always get this wrong. I used to thought this was Lawn Tower, but it is not. And I know that I've tagged it on Wikimapia as its correct name. So that's almost down in Pawtucket. Someone was nice enough to give me a thing. So that is SS Signaling Station 150. Oh, wait, see, that's 156. Then what's Attleboro? I think I had that one wrong. SS 165. All right, did I have that right? Yeah, okay. This is 156, 165. I'm going to keep this wide here so it can show the the fork in the track there. Let's see what I. Yeah, see, I called it lawn, but it's not. Now, it might not have ever had a Penn Central name because it might have been closed prior to the Penn Central needing to give it a name, but this area is known as Boston Switch. If I go back to this and I switch to railroad mode, where is this? Yeah, you have one way. This is sort of the Providence and Worcester kind of thing. You had one route. I think that the old main line might have gone through Providence in a different way. Which, yeah, that's right, because I think the Union Station used to I think the line used to come through here and up there, and you can see it's just sort of straight. But when they redid it, you could go through Pawtucket, and then you'd go to there's the Boston. That's why they call it Boston Switch, because it's the switch to this the sort of shunt track to get you back over to the main line. Here we have sort of the old Pawtucket station. Not the greatest. They keep. I don't know what the hang up is on reactivating that. I heard that someone owned it, and there was a sort of a Mexican standoff with the town. That the guy had it, and he was like, "Well, I think I can make a go of it. You got to give me more money," and I don't know. That station. So there's only basically the Providence. They really do need to get that Pawtucket station going. Oh, there's the old the old yard too for the service. But the Pawtucket station, it's a very nice station. It's got island platforms. It's got like stairways. It's big, but it's just been sitting there for forever. I don't know what happened to it. Blah 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 blah. Federal funding, 2011. Okay, it's out of date. I don't know what's going on. Wikipedia can probably tell me what's going on. Proposed replacement. Failed to sign. Oh, ground for the new station is broken in November 2018. Train station is scheduled to begin service by 2022. There you go. So, that's nice. Oh, reusing the former station site was determined to be impractical after further analysis. The dilapidated condition of the building would increase costs, and the track geometry was unsuitable for a modern station. Insufficient room in the trench to add additional tracks to allow Amtrak trains to pass through. Oh, that's a shame. Sharp curve makes high-level, handicapped, accessible platforms impossible to build without large platform gaps. Boo! Lame. Oh, that's a shame. ADA strikes again. Okay, what is this? It's like, why am I getting pictures of this? I probably deleted this photo in my original run, but I usually would get a... So it's milepost, looks like 111. What is that milepost there? Oh, come on, let me see it. Milepost, blob, blob, blob. Pi 156. Let's call it 156. I don't know. Wait. New Haven to Boston. Here we go. Cranston, Providence, Atwells, Lawn, Pawtucket, 187.1. Or this is probably a little bit before, so it's probably something like 186. Amtrak, Shore, Line, Milepost, 186. Yeah, this is why I don't stream a lot of my newer stuff. It's just a lot of me trying to figure out. Nah, that's only a certain case. Usually when I'm only doing a survey on a long distance train. But I have had to do it on the NEC. It's not fun, but so here we have the lawn tower. This is the actual lawn tower. Don't know why it was called lawn. That interlocking, that's what I wanted. That's not the one I wanted either. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Okay, what is this one? No, it's not Promenade Street. No. It's funny that this one's not even on there. This makes it all the more annoying to have to figure it out. So I think it is 156. I don't see anything else called lawn, so. Oops. Oops, what the heck am I doing? Oops. My fingers are all messed up here. I'm trying to gamma correct some of the brightness out. There it goes. All else fails. All right. Now, did I name this back in the day? Nah, I just deleted that photo. See, this is great. I'm recovering old photos. SS154 lawn. done. Getting down there. So here we have, glad I have this diagram up. This is Orm's interlocking. This had better sight lines back before the catenary poles. Again, look, it's a forest of catenary poles. And I just know that there's better ways to, and it's not just here at the terminals. There's a lot of places where they probably could have had non-solid things, like, I think a lot of other places, they'll just have cables that just, to make an arc, you just, like, on the far side, you have little cables that go out on, little just little things that go from track to track that are in tension. This just put, instead of using cables, it used beams. Typically, the only pictures I'm getting of worms interlocking these days is at night. What did I do? Oh, I didn't resize it. I don't know where this is, but you can see they are putting the new third track in for what would become the MBTA to go to Green Airport and stuff. So this is just starting that triple track project, which is mostly complete. It's been completed for a number of years now. It did take them a while. 184. So this would be around milepost. So when my friend did this survey, I guess after that they got the stuff in. It's probably somewhere around milepost 183. Yeah, I mean, the PRR, the way the PRR did it was just a lot cheaper and, equally as robust. The New Havens one was just very complicated. Sometimes people, engineers and stuff probably just thought. Another issue back then is, again, 1918, you have different constraints. By the 1930s, so in 1918 it was all lattice structures, so that was a limitation. Then in the 20s and in the 1915 on the PRR and into the 20s, the PRR was using round steel poles for its catenary supports on the side. And finally, 10 years later, you had you finally got to the point where I-beam technology had progressed to a point where you could just use I-beams and angle irons. It literally required steel-making technology to advance to a point. So here we have something that's no longer there. The mini high is at Kingston. Kingston had this wonderful thing where it didn't have I don't know if there was a grade crossing here or something, but they had to. It was a holdout station. That's why. So Kingston was I'm almost positive it was a holdout, as you had like a platform on one side and it would serve both tracks or something like that. You'd cross the tracks. Then they put in the high speed stuff, and you couldn't cross the tracks anymore because it's dangerous. But they didn't have a there was no way to get across the tracks. There wasn't like there is now, but at the time there wasn't. So if you read the Amtrak schedule, it would be like the schedule would say like passengers on this track meet at the station 5 minutes before scheduled, and a shuttle bus will take you to the other side. It was ridiculous. Yeah, there's the station. So the time it had for departure was actually the departure of the shuttle bus. MBTA, they built a third track. Now they have an not just two. They have a third. They have a one side and one island platform at Kingston. And MBTA will be, if they're not already serving it, they will be serving it. Here's my crappy camera not doing. And then this was there's the track overpass. So they didn't have to have you get there 5 minutes ahead of time. I guess we're just sort of pulling out or something here. I'm sorry this is taking long. This got a lot to talk about. Working on it. I really don't like the elevator-based track crossings. I think it's way more efficient to be built to a tunnel, and it requires way less delta H or delta Y. As you know, but I've always heard that passengers are scared of them. They don't want to get knifed. Thinking that this is 1973. But instead of having to send people down 10 feet, you got to transport them up 25 feet via one elevator over to another elevator. Here we have my favorite, the best preserved New Haven Tower. This is SS 119 or 131 Groton. I can look this up real quick. $119. Yeah, see, it's got the big 119 thing still there. Here's your little track diagram. Anywho, did I call this anything back in the day? Yeah, that's what I called it. This is still there. There was always rumors that a number of years ago, someone was like, I work, one of those guys who know things. I work there. They're taking the radio equipment out. They're gonna demolish it. They're always gonna demolish it until they realize that it's full of asbestos, and then demolishing it's gonna cost $30 million. Then they don't do that anymore. Try to get this red tint out of there. There it goes. That's a bit better. Two left. Just Groton interlocking. Oh man. Oh. Ugh. Alright, what can I do with this? That's good enough. Up there on that hills where you have that sign off of 95 that says submarine capital of the world. This is probably a picture that I would normally dump, but again, everything becomes historic. I don't have any name conflicts, so there you go. And inside of the Connecticut River drawbridge, at this point, I don't know what the heck I was doing. I'm not sure if I had a vestibule ride or not. I was ducking in and out or not or whatever, but this is as far as my photos go. I guess I lost interest or something. This is the... I think this is inside Groton interlocking. This is the Thames. This is the old bascule span that's been replaced by the lift span. Kept getting stuck, and the Navy got mad because, like, hey dudes, if you keep, like, you can't hem our warships in, that makes us blow up the bridge. Anywho, there we go. All done. Thank you for watching. Let's see if they got any more questions. How often does freight run? No, using Amtrak station codes is fine. There's no through freight on the NEC between New Haven and Boston. I don't think this. It's all local stuff. It's all Providence and Worcester. Um, it's served out of various bases. You have a whole bunch of stuff running out of the Mill River Yard or Cedar Yard in New Haven. That goes out to about Old Saybrook. I don't know where the local between like Groton and that stuff, but there's a short line that runs into the P&W runs into New London. So you have some stuff working out of the Cedar Yard in New Haven. I think that's P&W. They work over there. So P&W might actually run from along the NEC to because Connecticut Southern runs on the old Springfield line. P&W runs north out of New London and again out of Providence. And I don't think that they have. I know that they run. They have an operation in the Cedar Hill Yard that goes up to Middletown, but they don't run up to Springfield. They might have. I don't think it's Connecticut Southern has trackage rights on that. So I bet P&W runs a freight. Something from Cedar Hill Yard, whatever that is in New Haven, up to either New London or Providence. But I don't know. I'm not a P&W person. No, it's P&W runs all the local freight on the between New Haven and Boston. CSX handles the local freight between on Metro North, between Oak Point Yard and New Haven. They might interchange with stuff there, but stuff going to CSX, whatever little local freight there is left, runs down to Oak Point and then goes up the Hudson line. It might. That's what it does. Anyway, that's everything I got. I got to get rolling. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Sorry it went so long. I don't know. I might be back next week. I might be back in 2 weeks. I'm still figuring that out. And I've got to I also got to figure out what my next thing's going to be. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Oh, it didn't like me doing that.